how do you come up with personas, basically? How do you come up with
Mm.
good voice personas? Are there some
Mm.
metrics? Is there a checklist? What is the conversational design process?
Yeah. Well, the conversation design process and the persona design process is two different things.
Right.
On the persona design, we take it on a case by case basis. For example, if we're designing something for Alexa or Google Assistant,
Mm,
it depends on the client, depends on the budget, depends on the timescales. But there's times when we won't even create a persona hardly. We'll still do something on a persona, but quite often, if it's more of a utility based, practical kind of use case for something like Alexa,
mhm,
we'll just piggyback on Alexa's persona. And so
mhm.
we'll use the same kind of language, we'll use the same voice, and we'll just almost try and make the whole thing speak of the devil. What are you doing here? He couldn't quite make the
Okay. Hi.
walk-in video, but he has kind of come to see us on this.
Great, great.
Yeah. So sometimes we'll just piggyback on Alexa's persona essentially,
Mhm.
and so you'll if you use the Natter skill that we built, which is for a group of restaurants in London. Winston, shush. Uh, yeah, so a group of restaurants in London. That is very much just a vanilla voice experience where there's not a great deal of personality in there. It mimics a letter, and the whole thing is seamless.
Right.
For brands that require more of a persona, if you're creating something that is not on Alexa, not on Google, or with a brand that has a very definite personality, if you're creating something that is like a bespoke voice assistant for a website, or you're creating a chatbot and you're using you're not distributing it into a channel that already has a persona wrapped around it,
Mhm.
then essentially the process for us is we treat it like we're designing a character for a screenplay. So yeah, so we treat it like we're designing a character for a screenplay essentially, and we'll start with there's a template. I can probably dig up the template, to be honest.
Yeah,
If you
sure.
give us a second. It's a really simple template that we use, and it just gives us a way of starting in the right place. That's all we're trying to do. Is we're trying to kind of come up with a character that we can kind of understand who the person is, what their personality is, what kind of
Mhm.
personality traits they've got, maybe what background they've got, what education they've got, what subject matters they're kind of experts in, etc. So essentially what we're trying to do, what usually if you see any persona template, it's
Mhm.
typically it'll be something like, I tend not to give them a name because I don't want to kind of give it an identity like that, but it'll be something like, age, where do they live, where they're from, what kind of family might they have, this
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And then you've got like a backstory. So what is their kind of backstory? What have they been doing? Where do they sort of like, career wise, what have they gone through? And you're kind of just trying to paint a picture for the experience this person's got and all that kind of stuff. You're creating an actual character, like you're creating a character in a movie or a screenplay or something like that. And then you would have things like personality traits. So, are they happy? Are they sad? Are they excited? Are they motivated? Are they, what kind of personality traits do they have? And then you would kind of describe their personality as well, so and their interests and things like that. So this person likes to do this, that, and the other, and that's essentially the broad kind of thing: the demographics, the interests, the behaviors, the personality, attitudes, things like that, the prior experience, backstory. And all of that is to give you a little bit of a sense about who this person is. So, for example, we worked on one which was it was like a cosmetics brand, and
Mhm.
it was all about beauty products, beauty things like that. And essentially, the concept we come up with that was almost like a clinician, if you like, someone who is, if you go like to a spa,
Mhm.
and the therapist who is with you in the spa, they're very calm, they're very kind of like collected, they're not overexcited, but they're knowledgeable in what they do. They're very delicate and gentle and comforting, but they're also experts. So they've got that kind of like comforting wraparound whilst still being and still having the knowledge within their kind of area. And so that was one of the kind of personas that we created in that situation. Usually when people go through the persona creation process, they will start out by trying to put an age to this person, trying to give them are they, married with kids or whatever. Then they'll try and kind of think about where they're from. Then they'll try and think about, their backstory. Then they'll try and think about like what interests they might have. Then they'll try and think about a personality. Whereas we do it the complete other way around. We will say, start with the personality, of, you know, age, gender, marital status, family, location, all that stuff doesn't really matter. Start with the personality, the essence of the character that you're trying to portray. And it needs to be related to the brand. So you'll need to review the brand guidelines. You'll need to review the kind of tone of voice that the brand usually has. So for example, you know, Pepsi Max might have something a little bit more loud, a little bit more bold, a little bit kind of like more in your face, a little bit more kind of confident, a little bit more crazy. Whereas something like, I don't know, a smoothie brand, Innocent Smoothies, for example, might have something a little bit more delicate, maybe a little bit playful and a bit funny, but still not crazy and wild. They're going to be a little bit more subdued, a little bit more reserved. And so you kind of want to tie it to what the brand is. And then the final thing you do once you've kind of got an alignment between the personality and the brand, and you've worked back through things like the backstory and all that kind of stuff, is you want to create sample dialogues. And these sample dialogues don't have to correspond to a use case. They don't have to kind of be the thing that you're going to create. The intention of the sample dialogues is to try and get across the tone of voice that this person or this bot has. And it's really the reason for that is a few reasons. One is to get the brand on board, to give them some kind of like something to see or something to read, something to hear that kind of brings to life that character. And the other thing is to start kind of the discussion amongst the design team, which is this the kind of thing that this person would say? You know, if you're designing a chatbot, for example, would this person use emojis? Would they just use the thumbs up, or would they use like more kind of elaborate kind of visual expression? Would they say words like woohoo, or would they just say good? You know, would they be saying would the greeting be like welcome chaps, or would it be more like, you know, or formal, like good evening, or would it be more like hey, you know? And so it's kind of like essentially what you're trying to do is get a feel for the kind of dialogue that this character will produce. That then on occasion can turn into a tone of voice kind of guidance, essentially tone of voice guidance. And think of that a little bit like your brand guidelines. Most brands have brand guidelines, which is this logo should never be on a yellow background, or if you put this logo on a dark background, use this color kind of coordination or whatever. Never mess around with the font. The font always needs to be beside it, and it always needs to be in the top corner or whatever the case may be. And think of your persona as that equivalent for your bot. So the persona and the tone of voice guidelines is essentially your brand guidelines for the bot. And now as a creator, if you're just creating this on your own, you might think, well, what's the point in that? Like, I know what this thing should be like, and I know how I want it to sound and all that kind of stuff. And even if you're just creating something for yourself, it's a good exercise to go through that process, because it lets you definitely climb inside the mind of this virtual character. And also you'll have something down and documented that says, if I ever need to bring anybody else into this project, or if you have got a design team and you might then further down the line need to bring in other designers or other developers into the mix, you've got something there that says, hey, this is the voice of this thing. This is how it talks. This is its backstory. You know, feel free to advance on it. By all means, we want to kind of keep evolving, but this is the place to start. And if you don't do that kind of persona work, you tend to, you know, you'll have inconsistencies all over the place. A really basic error that I've seen time and time again usually with like hobbyist developers and stuff like that, is they'll do things like, when they introduce an experience, it'll say, you know, welcome to my fantastic bot. I can help you with such and such and such and such. And then a little bit further down, let's say you want to find someone a recipe. A little bit further down, it'll say, oh, sorry, I don't have those kind of recipes, but we can help you with such and such and such and such. And so they'll change the I, the first person, to the we as a collective. And so little things like that, if you don't have the persona guidelines, you don't have the tone of voice guidelines, you don't have anything to review the dialogue with, you'll just be using your brain and thinking, oh, well, I might want to change this, I might want to change that way. If you've got a persona, you can say, well, this line of dialogue here, this doesn't quite fit this persona. It doesn't quite have the characteristics that this persona would have. And it gives you something that you can use, which is, it takes the opinion out of it. If anyone's ever worked in software development or design or anything like that, you'll know that as soon as you show the client something, you need to fight for your design. You need to fight for why you've done certain things. You need to convince them the reasons why you've done it. And the persona gives you that backup. It takes the personality out of it. It's not me telling you. I'm not telling you that we shouldn't use the word your and we should use hello instead. I'm not telling you that. It's what we've decided the persona should be, you know? And so it takes that kind of the conflict and the personality and all that kind of stuff out of it. So yeah, there was something else I was going to add to that persona discussion, but I'm sure it'll come back if needed.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions. Right?